Hey guys, so today I wanted to tackle the spooky and mysterious topic of ghosting. For those of you that aren't so familiar with the term, it mostly happens in romantic relationships, typically between two people, where one party decides for whatever reason they're just gonna dip out of the situation. Whether that's ignoring the other person or just completely falling out, like just completely moving on and not giving a reason why. As someone who has dealt with ghosting, I realize that it sucks. It's not fun because it is a form of rejection. Especially because it really hits you, maybe not at first, but it will hit you, and then you feel like because you were ghosted, you need closure from that other person. But most often than not, it's not even that you really cared about that other person. Like, it wasn't like you were necessarily in love with that other person. It's you feel this need, this obsession, this obsessive need to have the closure with that person, so that makes you want to have it addressed, and you want to know, you just don't understand why they did that to you. And from what I've gathered, there are several reasons why people ghost. Sometimes it's because they are into somebody else, like they may have romantic feelings for someone else and they want to pursue that. Other times it's because they just simply lose interest in you, and that's the most common reason. And then there's the not so common reason, but the often put forward excuse, and that is being busy and having stuff going on. And sometimes that is actually an excuse. Like, there are freak things. Let's say their grandmother dies or their dog runs away or something like that. There are freak things where you should give them the benefit of the doubt. But most of the time, it's an excuse. It's typically one of the first two. And I would say specifically, it's the lack of interest. And the reason why people lose interest, there's many reasons why, obviously, and it depends on the situation. There's always exceptions, but the main reason why someone would lose interest in a romantic situation is because the party that's ghosted gives up something to the person that's ghosting that they don't deserve yet. Whether that is their time, their emotional capacity, or something physical. And that's hard because it sucks in the sense that you're like, okay, well, do all people suck? But most of the time, the people that ghost are good people. They're nice people. But human nature dictates, if you're giving something for free, if you're just handed something for free, you'd rather ride on that free thing and take advantage of it rather than have to work for something. And most people, an inherent thing inside of them, whether they realize it or not, humans are very lazy in that capacity because they want the autopilot, they want to be handed the free thing. And a good example that I could give is if, let's say you are the person that's being ghosted, and you are a business owner, and you're looking for prospective employees, and you see a prospective employee that fits the job description, they seem perfect, they have the qualifications you're looking for, at least most of them. So, and that person is the person that ghosts. So let's say at your company, you're going to offer these employees $50,000. That's what the salary will be. And so you go up to that person that is the prospective employee, and you say to them, you know what, you're great. You're perfect for the job. You are awesome. You know what, I'm just going to give you $35,000 just because you're just great. Here you go. They may have been a great employee, but most people, if given $35,000 with no strings attached, well, most people would have a conscience, but let's say that didn't really apply. If no strings were attached to that, there were no legal documents signed, there were no contracts signed, what's preventing that person from just running away with the $35,000 and going off to Timbuktu? There's not much stopping them. Why would they work if they were already handed the money up front? And that can be said for dating. If you give up your value, whatever it is, and I'm not saying everybody has value, but let's say you give up a certain thing to someone that you're not comfortable giving up to you're not comfortable giving up before being in a relationship, and you haven't established that you're going to be in a relationship with that person, and you give that thing up before you establish those boundaries, those guidelines, unfortunately, you kind of have to expect that is something that could happen, that they could ghost you, because there's nothing preventing them from ghosting you. There's no reason. They're not in a relationship. There's no agreement. It's literally just a spur of the moment, and maybe you wanted to do whatever it is in the moment. Maybe you wanted to just give all your time away and do all this stuff, but you're doing a disservice to yourself in the end, because by doing that, you're saying, this is where I place my value on myself. You can do whatever you want to me, or I will accept anything. And maybe you won't accept anything, but that's what you're showing to that person who's ghosting. And so, that being said, if that happens to you, obviously, again, not a good situation to be in, not the best thing. And you may feel fine at first, but the two reactions that most commonly happen from those situations, if you realize, yes, I have been ghosted, you give the person the benefit of the doubt, you wait 2 or 3 texts, and they're not, let's say after days, they're not responding to you. You see a pattern where they're not, let's say before, they were looking at your Snap stories, they were looking at your Instagram stories, they were liking your Facebook posts, and they're not doing those things anymore. And you see that they're online, and they're obviously ignoring you. This is a situation where you want the closure. So more often than not, people will be clingy, or they'll deny that they ever liked the person. The clinginess looks crazy, but on the other hand, if you're telling someone, oh, I hate you and I don't give a crap about you and your shit, both of those things are not going to make you look favorable. And especially if you want to be in a relationship with that person in the future. Because, like I said, there's always exceptions to the rule, and maybe you will end up being in a relationship with that person. Personally, for me, what I do in situations like that is I could choose to keep them on social media or keep in contact with them and just every once in a while say something. But I choose to just completely wipe it out. Because personally, if someone does that to me, I don't want to be in a relationship with them, or I don't want to date them ever again. And for me, in order for that for me to ever consider that from that person, they would have to do quite a bit for me to even consider being in a relationship with them. So you have to build up your value. You have to understand where your boundaries are. And if you're all about hooking up with people and going from person to person and you don't care about the consequences, great. That's for you. There's nothing there's not anything wrong with that. Go ahead and do that. But if you're wanting to be in a relationship with someone, you need to establish those boundaries. You need to establish those values up front. And not just assume, no matter how great the person seems. So, I hope that this video was helpful in some way. I know ghosting is hard, and my advice is don't ghost. I wish more people would tell people how they feel. It is hard. I understand that telling someone, a lot of people like to avoid conflict. But by doing that, you put other people on roller coasters, on these emotional roller coasters. And yes, they shouldn't be on that emotional roller coaster, especially if you don't like them. You don't deserve for them to be on that emotional roller coaster. But that's what's going to happen. So if you are thinking about ghosting someone, unless the person is just a complete scumbag and they deserve to be ghosted, just tell them that you're not interested. Tell them how you feel and don't lead them astray. So, that being said, I hope everybody is having a great day wherever they are, and I will see you next video. Bye!